Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am interviewing this wonderful couple known as Lauren and Nick. They're all the way from Florida and they do wedding photography, but not only that, they are well known on TikTok. I think close to 200k followers.
Just about, yeah.
I remember
Somehow.
I started following you, I think when you were at about 75k to 100k is when you made the video about, it was an improvised one about, what did you call me before we got married or something? Your ex-fiance. That's when I followed you guys.
My ex-boyfriend, yes.
Yes, that one. It was so sweet. I was like, okay, I need to follow this couple. They're so sweet.
Oh my gosh, that was a fun one. Yeah, I keep telling him too, we got to make more couple TikToks.
You do, instead of him being the cameraman.
Yeah, I helped her blow up. Now I gotta be part of,
the
content.
Oh my gosh, like just thinking back on the dress that you ordered online and then you wore at the, did you take photos with the dress that you wore that evening?
Honestly, no, I didn't end up doing like any like any photos
did
or anything with it, but
you did take a photo in the fancy like gold room because it matched the black and gold
yeah,
theme.
like maybe like one photo, but not like a whole
Nothing blown
full-blown shoot. But I do want to actually do like a cosplay thing of like Sailor Pluto soon, you know, because she was also wearing the dress and she's got like the long green wig, so I got it and I'm gonna try and do something with that too.
And then I remember like you made like a response video where people were like, you look like Lila, you look like there were, I think, Megara, and then there was that you look like Markiplier's girlfriend Amy.
Oh yeah, that one came up.
I look like everyone.
You really do remind me of Amy. I'm a huge fan of Markiplier.
No, Markiplier's girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
I did
heard a million.
I did used to get Amy Winehouse a lot, but I'm pretty sure it was just because of like the eyeliner.
Oh no. What got you into photography?
It kind of roots back to her and what she was doing before she even had like a job, really.
Yeah, so I actually when I graduated high school, I was trying to be a model, so I was doing a lot of photo shoots with photographers, doing workshops, things like that, but it was more so I was working with hobby photographers, not like portrait ones who are like actually trying to take seriously what they're doing. So it was more like the photographer side. So when I end up seeing the photos after the shoots, I'd be like, that's me. And I was actually convinced I was ugly just because like I was working with people that weren't, I don't want to bash anybody, but like I just like weren't portrait oriented and just trying to make sure that the people that they were working with was more of a personal level, to make sure that they were comfortable, to make sure that they felt good. So my self-esteem absolutely plummeted after doing some modeling and I had to quit. So after that, I decided to start taking pictures of myself just to bring my self-esteem and my confidence back up. And that's when people reached out to me back in the MySpace days and they were like, hey, can you like take my default picture for like $20? And I'm like, $20? Yeah, absolutely, great. And then I ended up making a Facebook page for my photography, and then I wasn't even planning on doing weddings at all. But a week later, I got my first wedding inquiry and they were like, would you ever do one? And I'm like, why not? You know, and then I ended up doing it a couple months later. I had no idea what I was doing. I was researching like wedding poses in the car 30 minutes before the wedding started, before I was supposed to go. So like I had no idea what I was doing, but I absolutely fell in love with it. And after just doing that first wedding, I realized I wanted to do more. And then I was constantly taking pictures of myself to bring my self-esteem back up. So then I just started to get a little bit more creative with it. And that's when people started reaching out to me to book more shoots. And then me and Nick started dating, and he ended up taking over for a second shooter who bailed out on me at the last minute for a wedding. And when I was shooting with him, I was like, oh my God, your shots are actually really good. You're doing such an excellent job. Like you're actually like bringing something here that I don't have to worry about or micromanage. And at that point, I realized I didn't really want to work with any other second shooter again. So we started shooting together for a couple of years, and then we just decided to brand together as Nick and Lauren. So we weren't even engaged yet at this point. We didn't even like have wedding plans at this point, but we just decided as boyfriend and girlfriend, we're just going to go ahead and make like a wedding duo photography team. And it's been 5 years since then.
That is amazing. what's great about you guys is normally couples don't really work well together. But the fact that you have this bond and that you're able to just get along so well when working, that's very inspirational.
The best part about that is too, like, you only see like flash moments maybe from Instagram story snippets, or you see the final gallery, or you just hear stories. But like, if you were actually to see us on a wedding day, or like follow us around and be like, that's how they act, it adds to what you're saying. It's crazy. Like, we have a really cool energy that makes us motivated. Like, when the day hits, like, we could have a completely different day the day before. We could have a completely terrible, like, everything goes wrong day, and then we got to wake up the next day and go photograph a wedding. Once we're there and we say hello to the client, it's like we shift into this magical gear that we didn't know was there, and
it's
we're
almost
new
like
people,
a new persona. Yeah.
and we're always trying to outdo one another the whole day, trying to like, hey, my shot's better. No, you need to do better because this is mine. And it's like, it just makes us always do our best no matter what situation we're thrown into.
Oh, that's so good. And I'm so glad that you're able to work together, and it's really motivating. And then that you guys get along like best friends. Are you that couple that sometimes people mistake for siblings?
It's happened before, but like, not people who know us well or like are meeting us for more than 10 minutes. It's like usually like our waiters or waitresses or something.
It's funny because like we have like the same eyes, so I can get how sometimes some people might be like, if they don't know at first that, you know, we're together, they'll be like, oh, maybe you guys are related just because we get along so well. But it's like, no, I married this man.
Yeah, and I guess you are, in America, you are used to seeing like very like contrasting, polar, opposite personalities in like a lot of couples. So like, when you see two people who act very similar and have the same types of humor, and they're like giggling about the same jokes over coffee, you might think that they're not a married couple.
It's just
it's usually like, oh, my husband, when he gets...
No, we're lucky because we're that couple that work together and we love each other, but he's also my best friend.
That's so fantastic. And then I feel like if you guys are in bad spaces, like, you know when to give each other space and just a breather. But I was thinking now of your recent video when you guys went away on holiday. You guys were on the beach or something, and then you were running around like
the Mexico one.
Yes, I love that video.
Believe it or not, our friend she knew that we were going to Mexico for a trip with her parents. So she's like, oh my God, you guys have to do this, and showed us this viral TikTok video about like, I don't know, it was a sound clip about Mexico. So you should just go there and recreate it. So we did our own version of it. So we do have to give credit to somebody influencing us.
And originally we were going to do it where, like, you know, one part of it had my mom, one part had my dad, and then one part was going to be with Nick. But then we were just like, nah, let's just let them relax.
It looked fun, all sped up.
It's awesome. Okay, what's your best and worst experiences with regard to wedding photography?
I'll just go ahead and start with the worst.
Maintain anonymity.
Of course, I will go. I'm just going to say it in general. I would say like the worst experience we can have is when a parent is micromanaging absolutely everything to the point of where like their kid has to literally approve absolutely everything by them, their hairstyle, their makeup, whether or not the ceremony is going to be outside while it's still raining, like things like that. We've experienced that type of stuff, and we can like see how negatively it affects our clients.
That also affects the outcome of the work. So that's more of like a like, what's the worst thing that could happen at a wedding that affects what we do? But also, what do you think is the worst situation you've ever been in? Like the worst, like emotionally.
I already know.
Yeah,
I know
it's like a two-sided question. Like, that's like the business side answer. Like, get down to the real heart nugget of what made you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. One time, probably okay. So like the worst experience we have had while photographing, I would say then is we were doing these sunset photos with this couple. We were trying to do like where he dips her, and immediately when we were giving them instructions, she didn't hear that we were saying for them to look at each other, so she kept looking at us, and he was reminding her, hey, they said to look at me.
But he was being really rude about how he was telling her.
Yes. And so she was being really rude back, like, don't tell me what to do. And then like they just started arguing in front of us, like constantly, to the point where we were like, okay, we're gonna take 3 photos and that's it. I cannot be here anymore. And then when we were done and she was walking off, he's yelling after her, like, keep it up, I haven't signed the papers yet. And we're like, 4 hours.
Oh my god,
that's not usually the environment that we're in.
Usually, no.
We don't usually get booked by clients that are in that sphere of relationship, but that was just an anomaly event.
Honestly, we don't really have that many bad experiences. Like, luckily, like, we've done over 250 weddings at this point, and
holy shit,
the bad experiences are literally like I could count on one hand.
Okay, and then your best experiences?
That's so hard because everybody's wedding is so unique, and we get like a lot of creative people that want to like break free from the norm. So yeah, it just depends on like what's subjectively better to us.
It's funny because when you say best experience, honestly, my mind just goes to food.
Who had the best food?
That's awesome.
It's hard to compete, but I think the one time that we had a wedding opportunity where we were flown to Italy.
Yes.
I mean, the food was amazing, so you just win there.
They had a Prosecco hour and a cocktail hour.
But if I'm trying to be completely like rational and unbiased, it's because the wedding took place in like a multiple settings. Like it would start with a morning ceremony.
It was also the longest wedding we've ever photographed, 18 hours.
Yeah, so like the morning, very historic church, like 13th, 14th century historic church, beautiful but very ritualistic ceremony. And then we move out to a Prosecco hour in this courtyard grassy garden that looks like it was some sort of James Bond movie set. And then from there they take like a boat to another place where we do photos in this really, really fancy, really hard to get to island where they do actually shoot movies and stuff.
It's where they did the second Star Wars movie where Padme and Anakin got married. There. Yes, it's this picture.
We can actually flash a little photo. This was the spot. This was spot 3 that we went to. And then, so like our photographer hearts are literally burning and like so full. And then at the same time, our personal side, like, oh my God, we're in Italy, but like we're on the clock, we're working. Our creative hearts are fulfilled and our personal vacation hearts are fulfilled.
Yes.
But
it was also really personal for us too, because like within the first week of me and Nick actually meeting and talking for the first time, like we had already decided that if we ever get the chance, we're going to Italy together. So the fact that we actually got to do it finally years later, and it was for one of the biggest weddings we ever got to photograph, it was absolutely amazing. And we had just gotten engaged too at that point too. So we got to like enjoy like the first part of our engagement in Italy, and it was so wonderful.
Yes, it was nice. We worked really hard and we got some really amazing photos for that couple. They got an amazing deal, to be honest, because we were in the beginning stages of our business blowing up.
Yeah, and he didn't even know we were going to do that photo for him because, like, literally in that area, there was a bunch of, like, park benches and a bunch of people sleeping on them. So we were like, hey, groomsmen, go wake them up. Go move those benches out of the way. Just because I'm like, we're not leaving here and I'm not giving that photo. Like, I have to give them that photo. It has to be made. We're here. I'm doing it.
So there was a big grandeur element that made that wedding so, like, hard to beat when we compare it to a lot of the other experiences that we've been through. But there have been experiences right here in our home county that have been absolutely incredible, and weddings that are just like so full of like complete strangers to us, but like the life and energy in the room is so connected and like warm that it's so cool to be there just for a couple hours and photograph for those people that it leaves an impression even years later when you're asking us in these interviews.
I'd say like the best experiences we end up having are the ones where like our couple are fully themselves and do the wedding how they want to from beginning to end. They don't let anybody else have any kind of influence on them. They're like, if I want to have like a medieval themed wedding, we're gonna do that. If I want to have like, if I want to do a kickstand later on during the reception, I'm gonna do it. Like things like that. It's the couples that we have that are fully 100% themselves and all about celebrating the uniqueness of what they are that truly is our best experience.
And it has nothing to do with the amount of money spent for each wedding to happen, because some of these weddings, like they'll take place at like our local science centers or like Kennedy Space Center hosts some weddings that we do.
Or a lot of garden centers,
space and cosmic weddings themes, and then there's fairy tale themes and gardens that are nearby. And it's really all just what the vision the couple has is, and whether they're willing to just push it no limits, that's really what sets everything apart as like one of the most memorable experiences you can have. But it's just hard to beat a trip to Italy, you know?
Yeah.
That one of the best places you've traveled to with regards to your career. Is it just Italy?
It's definitely Italy, but I would say one of the most fun experiences we had in terms of travel, we did an engagement session in Chicago.
Oh, this is just a wild story.
Yeah, this is a wild story.
I was gonna
but-
say we have been on a Disney cruise for a wedding. Getting booked for cruise weddings is such a fantastic, fun experience. But yeah, tell this Chicago story. This is wild.
Yeah, so for the
Okay.
Chicago
This is in the span
story,
of one day.
this couple really wanted to do their engagement session at like one of those really new kind of museums, like the abstract
Pop-up
ones
museums.
where like everything's like an optical illusion, where like one of you is like bigger and like one of you is like super small, but like you're in the same room and the same like focal length and everything. So it's like
Selfie
super
rooms.
super crazy, like the interactions that you can have in this place. And our couple really wanted to do that. So they paid for our tickets to fly in. They also live here too, so they also flew in. So we all flew in together to Chicago. We got into the museum, we did the session, and then we went right back to the airport.
So we literally landed from the airport, got on that train that takes you from the airport into the city, got off that train, we were close enough to just take a really quick Uber right to the museum.
We saw like
met
a little
the
bit
couple.
of snow.
Yeah, it started snowing. We met the couple. We went into the museum. We did everything we needed to do before the time was running out. And we're like, all right, we got our flight to catch back home. We'll see you guys later. And the snow was coming down heavier. We got back on the train, took us straight into the airport, and we made it back home. We were here in Orlando by like 9 p.m. or something and made it back home before midnight.
We should have made an actual trip out of it, but we just
That would have
didn't
been a
think about it.
wild
That would've
TikTok
been-
story. Yeah, that
I
we've done
I
a
do need to
lot.
post that on.
Maybe you can do it again in the future, like something
Maybe.
similar.
Maybe. It would be
That would
fun.
be great.
Just to go to a city for a day.
It's just things were different back then too, because now travel, I would just feel the weird element of risk and
Yeah.
like not being able to make it or getting delays. It's too common now.
Wait, are you talking like in
Travel
comparison to
delays.
like COVID at all, or like
It just feels
pre-COVID?
like ever since COVID, like the
Commerce.
travel commerce industry is just super lacking. Like the amount of like cancellations and like the amount of people that aren't working on them anymore because they need more people.
Staffing's
to be able to do
different. Demand is different. It's just everything's unpredictable, whereas before they followed patterns.
Yeah, so like I'm in on Facebook. I'm also in a girls that love travel group. So I'm literally seeing like every single day people talking about like what the travel industry is like, and it's not good right now.
Yeah, it's so much tougher to be able to travel. Like, there were so many plans with regards to traveling pre-COVID, and then when it happens, you feel very limited. But it's fine. I mean, things seem to be progressing
Yeah.
and getting better now.
Thank goodness we've never once been in a situation where travel has prevented us from getting to a client. We have had scares, but we've never had an issue where something has prevented
Yeah,
us.
that's why we also make
Goodness.
sure that when we do like out of state weddings, we always go 2 days in advance just in case, because if we go the day before and something happens, that'll
Too
prevent
risky.
us from being there. And last summer, we were going to a wedding that was up in Illinois, but we had a layover in Texas. And when we ended up doing that, they ended up there was a storm, they delayed our flight, we had to leave the next day. So if we had left 2 days before, we would have missed the wedding.
They're like, you just got to go find somewhere to spend the night. And I was like, what do you mean find somewhere? You guys have a hotel in the airport? Like, yeah, it's full. Good luck.
Oh man.
What a wonderful experience.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
God.
sucked.
How did the two of you meet?
Make this one quick. This is a long
This is
story.
okay, this is okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so for this, I was basically with another guy at this point. I had just broken up with him, and I was going through the I don't know how to be single phase and trying to get back with him. And my mom ended up picking me up one day because I couldn't drive yet. And as soon as I got in the car, I ended up getting a friend request from this man. And I had no idea who he was. His picture didn't load. I saw we had like 300 mutual friends or something, which I was super impressed by. But
Oh,
then
wow.
the only thing that loaded was his name. But the moment I saw his name, I instantly got tunnel vision, and it felt like just time froze. And I had no idea what's going on. I felt overwhelmed. It was like this really weird sensation all over me. And I was like, holy shit, this is the person I'm going to marry. This is the person I'm
Wow.
supposed to be with. And I even said it to my mom, and she was like, I'm literally picking you up from your ex-boyfriend's house. What do you mean? And I'm like, no, but like, who is that? I don't know him anymore. Like, this is who I need to be with. And then his picture loaded, and I was like, and he's hot too. So I literally wasted no time, instantly just introduced myself. But after that, he was the first guy that actually wanted to get to know me before dating me. Before, I had literally just been with people who were like, on the first date, instantly be my girlfriend, or before the date, be my girlfriend. And I'm like, okay, sure. And I thought that it was exciting at the time, you know, like dating someone and like, you know, getting to know them like a book, but like, no. So like this man, he wanted to actually get to know me, and I'm like, oh, he wants to court me. That was amazing.
Courting
Yeah,
is
it
the
was
best. Yeah.
a long road of just slow dates and then trips together, and then eventually like then plans for the future, and then shooting weddings together. It's cool.
That's
Long culmination.
But what really solidified it for us was I have to tell the story. But on his 25th birthday, I surprised him by taking him to Savannah, Georgia. And on our very last day there,
Where we got
like,
married.
yes, so we were walking through this really big cemetery, like the most haunted cemetery they have in Savannah. And we were just like walking through it in order to get to our car so we could leave. And while we're going through the cemetery, this older gentleman stops us, and he starts asking us questions about ourselves. He also offers us a palmetto rose,
Which,
so,
you know, it implies, or I thought at the time, I was assuming like, okay, he's probably
Like a
gonna like
peddler or
ask for
something.
like, you know, $1. He's selling palmetto roses.
okay.
But no, then he continues with this this little ritual between us, or ceremony.
yeah, he's having him like ask me questions. He's having me answer questions for him. He's saying that I'm going to be the queen of his life. He has him give me the palmetto rose. He has us kiss. He says I'm now the queen of his life. And then he ends up telling us that he was a traveling pastor. And we're like, did we just get married?
Holy shit.
So
Wow.
after walking away from that, we were like, oh my God, did that just happen? Did we just get
What
married?
was that?
How do you feel? I don't know. This feels right. Okay, yeah, me too. Okay, cool. We're married. So we like considered ourselves like spiritually married from that moment.
Mhm.
And then he ended up keeping the palmetto rose. He used it to propose to me with, like in a Beauty and the Beast style
In the
engagement.
glass.
And then he also wore it as his boutonniere for the wedding.
So on my red jacket, you
Aw.
can see the palmetto bloom
Okay.
that I had our florist put into a boutonniere.
And now it's in our living room.
Oh, that's lovely.
So we're keeping it forever.
And then,
That's-
you know, like that's not like something that you could plan or that I planned even. I always remind couples when we're talking to them about their wedding plans, like, do you have any suggestions? Like, yeah, just think of things that like mean something to you and try to like creatively tie those elements together. Don't work it too hard, but like something as simple as that, like you tell that story and everybody's like, it's like, it was just there. It was perfect. It worked perfectly, but yeah.
The one thing I wanted to do for the wedding, this is the one thing I did not want wavering. I wanted to take a self-portrait on our wedding day, and we did.
Your creativity not only lies with wedding photo shoots, but it also does with boudoir shoots and horror shoots. Let's go into those.
Okay. Basically, like for me, as long as there's some kind of emotion in the shoot, it's something I want to do. Like that's why like I haven't limited myself to whether I do just weddings, portraits, family, concepts. Like as long as there's some kind of emotion in there, some kind of story to be told, it's something I want to do.
Is that it? Okay, awesome. I love that. Okay, that was awesomely answered. I'm sorry. I was like, okay, how do you get your friends to do like boudoir shoots, and how do you come up with your horror concepts?
So for my friends to do the boudoir shoots, like I have like two friends that I currently use. They're both my best friends, and whenever I need to like, you know, do promo photos, but I don't want to have to like, you know, pay a model, or I don't want to just have to do like a free session for like some person I don't know. I'd rather just use, you know, my muses. Yeah, my muses. So both of them, like I've been photographing both of those two girls for like years now. I think I've worked with Ashley for 5 years now. Me and Courtney have been working together for 2 to 3 years. And they're the same girls that I used for that the Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn shoot. So that's how they became friends, because they met together after we were planning that, and then they met for the first time at my birthday party, and they're like, oh, you're gonna be Poison Ivy, oh, you're gonna be Harley, okay, great. And then they became friends after that, and we've all been inseparable ever since.
Squad.
But
And then-
for my horror concepts, honestly, I don't I don't even know how to really answer exactly like how
Where
I
it all
even come up
started?
with them, because like I guess like my journey with horror too, it's just a really interesting one, because I used to absolutely not be into horror whatsoever. I used to not watch horror movies. I wasn't into the games. I didn't even read like horror comics or novels or things like that. And then after I graduated high school, my two best friends at the time, they knew that I didn't like horror, so they decided, hey, you're gonna watch it now that you graduated. So they literally tied me to a chair with rope and forced me to watch Dead Silence. So that was my very first horror movie, the one with the ventriloquist dummies and like the biting of the tongues and everything. So I'm like, I was traumatized after that. But my actual obsession started a little bit after Insidious first came out. So when that movie came out, that's when I started becoming obsessed with horror. I started researching, and then it wasn't until around the time that Christine McConnell, when I started finding her work, and she was doing the baking show, the Curiosity show that she has on Netflix. Yeah, so she's a really amazing like horror artist. Like she does modeling, she does photography, she sews her own clothes, and she also bakes. But everything that she bakes is like horror based. So like she builds like giant like haunted houses that are made of chocolate cake. She builds like
pastry bats,
yeah, like
crazy
just
things.
Crazy stuff. And like I absolutely love everything that she does. You'd probably be really into what she does.
She has a Netflix series.
After that, when I
What's
discovered
her
her
name again?
Christine McConnell.
I'm writing this down. Okay, yeah. I did give it a watch. It was amazing. It's such a brilliant show, and I highly recommend it. It's out on Netflix right now when this video comes out. So if you're watching this in future, I'm not sure if it's available. I definitely recommend it if you enjoy all things creative and spooky. So
when I found her work, that's when I realized, oh,
you can add a little whimsy to it.
I can add a little bit of something dark here, because like even when I was in school to do like creative writing, and before that when I would write like, you know, like little short stories and little novels and things like that back in the day, it's always been impossible for me to write stuff that was technically happy. So I was just always more drawn to like the dark and the disturbing and things like that. So once I realized like, oh, I can try doing my conceptual photography, but do it a little bit creepy, that's when it unlocked like a whole different world for me. And it's really weird, because like I can literally come up with an idea in 2 seconds. Like you just give me 3 words and I can instantly come up with an idea based on just those 3 words. So for example, like if you gave me like a color, a mood, and an object, I would instantly be able to have a concept based on those 3 things.
Okay, let's say a color, a mood, and an object. Okay, turquoise, passion, and bubbles.
Yeah, I got it already. So it's like,
I already thought of the photo you've taken.
Yeah, literally. So it's like,
okay.
it's like literally that easy. Like the way that my mind works, like that's why it's like,
so cool.
That's why I can't really be like a teacher either, because like my mind, it just works in a way that I can't understand still. So like literally just like an image
can second
will pop
that
in my head. Yeah, he gets it. Like for me, it doesn't make any sense, but like I'll just instantly have an image and then I just have to draw it out, even though like the images look like super bad. So this was the rough draft for my Roe v. Wade photo.
Oh my god. It's so simple, but I love it.
So simple, it looks so terrible, cool. But you see the concept and the idea is there.
Yes.
I just can't draw the shit.
So it's kind of like fashion designing, and then you make your work come to life.
So like the image just immediately comes to my head, and then I transfer it to paper. That way I don't forget it.
Roe v. Wade overturned. You've created a picture that was amazingly portrayed. It's caused so much controversy on your end. Let's discuss your stance on it and the picture.
Okay. So like for me personally, I have a really big stance on it, because Nick and I are very hardworking people, and eventually we do want to have a family, but that's not in our foreseeable future for at least like 5 more years. Like we want to be able to do as much as we can now. So like I've personally been on birth control for the past like decade, and Nick is actually going to be, you know, working into getting a vasectomy so I can finally get off of my birth control so I can start, you know, regulating my hormones again. But the moment that news like first came out, and like thinking about the fact that there's going to be so many people who can't get vasectomies, there's going to be people who aren't in the position that we are, to where like you can't do anything about it, or if you're in a state that doesn't allow you to do it, or if you're in the state where like the moment that you get an abortion, your rapist can literally sue you, or their family can sue you and they get parental rights. Like the moment that that happened, like I just immediately, like, nothing else mattered anymore, honestly.
Couldn't sit by.
Yeah, I couldn't sit by anymore, and I was super depressed. I was really, really sad. But the moment that like I instantly came up with that idea for that photo, like I was just like, okay, there has to be like some kind of, there's justice here. There's no justice. So that it all started with the scale. That was the object for this. So like the moment I thought of the scale, and then I thought of what's literally at stake here, and how none of us have a voice anymore, and none of us are being seen anymore and considered people. The moment that that image immediately came to my head and I drew it out, I started screaming and crying, because I just felt like the combined emotion probably of like everyone and how they feel about this. So like I really wanted to create something that I felt like almost everyone can relate to, because it's a piece that says so much without saying anything at all. And that's why I didn't even want to put like a caption to go with it. I didn't want I wanted people to be able to interpret everything about it in their own way. So that's why I put like little details here, little details there, because like I'm very, very highly detail oriented, and I wanted there to be something everywhere that you could see that you might not notice the first time you saw it.
I love that. I think that's what I enjoyed about the picture. It's kind of like Easter eggs, but in a more serious manner. And it's beautiful and it's tragic, and I'm so sorry that you both have to deal with the situation at the moment, and I do hope it changes over time. No one should have to go through with that. Did I ask about the places you would like to travel to?
Oh,
Like,
no, we definitely have a list.
Yes,
And
number one though is New Zealand.
it's up there
Number
with
one is
one
New
of the
Zealand.
few places that we were discussing at the same time as Italy. Like we were in our dreamy little like holding our cameras for the first time stages, like of figuring out how to do photography, and we're like, well, it'd be so cool one day to go to New Zealand, or like, oh, Italy, that would be a dream.
Yeah.
Like, and then one checked off the list. It was such a surprise too, because we weren't seeking it, we weren't trying to check it off the list. It came to us from the universe. It's crazy.
But
New Zealand hasn't
New
come up yet.
Zealand is definitely one there. Anywhere in France, honestly. He's never been. We're planning on going next year just for vacation.
I've never traveled to Europe before this, and because of this life path. So before all this stuff, I never had gone outside of like just a cruise to Mexico or like to the islands. It's always been in the U.S. I've done a lot of interstate travel, but it was really cool to finally, for the first time, go see Europe, and I definitely want to do it again.
Oh, that's amazing. You guys are so lucky, blessed, definitely. Like it's such a wonderful opportunity. I think you've come up with the best business venture ever, that you're a married couple that are able to travel and just work together because you understand each other, but I'm sure better than you would for anybody else. And it's just such a wonderful concept, and you've already gotten far with this, but I can see you getting even further in life with this. Yeah. And so how do you feel that you are able to travel now overseas as compared to interstate?
Yeah, it's going to be a different picture now post-COVID. It's more expensive. There's different restrictions. Who knows?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know.
We're still basically seeing how everything stabilizes after all these changes are implemented, and there's new travel norms, new pricing structures, new regulations and restrictions when you go to airports and do baggage and stuff. But it's not so bad. Like we just did a few weddings recently that required us to fly, and we had no hiccups. We had a great time. Where were we? The most recent one took us to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to get out of the Florida weather for a little while because it's hot here.
Oh, so like humid?
Dude.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's like 90% humidity and like 94 degrees. So that it always feels like 99.
I can't relate right now. It's so cold my side. Is it? Yeah, it's gonna be spring soon. It's so strange. In October, it's spring, summer, but I like to think that it's fall because I'm a Halloween person and I want to go to America and do trick-or-treating there. We don't do trick-or-treating here
That's
because
so sad. We
Yeah.
feel so bad for you.
Yeah, I found out that my over in England they don't do Halloween or trick or treating anything either. Cause like my cousin, she studied abroad and she went to a Halloween party over there. She went to go dress up and she was the only one that dressed up. And she's
Oh.
like, "What is this?"
But that's why I'm so glad TikTok exists, because then I just make TikTok videos. I just wear what I want to and I do the videos. But aside from that, we have a high crime rate. So children aren't allowed in the streets at night. But there
Yeah.
are some complexes apparently where they do trick or treats inside, which sounds very cool. So I
Yeah,
like
I guess
that.
it has to be a norm for your whole community in order for that to even be like a possibility. It can't just be like a few people organizing it. It has to be like
And
everybody on board.
I guess it's also to do with there's a lot of Christians this side. My family is Christian, but I'm very open-minded, so it doesn't really matter for me. I wouldn't mind celebrating Halloween. I don't see it as anything bad. It's more fun and spooky and scary, and you don't
Well,
get
like,
that any other
that
time
part
of
of
the year.
celebrating it is more of like the commercial side, like the whole like companies and corporations doing something to capitalize on Halloween,
Like
and we go and
Christmas.
we give candy out and everybody buys candy and they buy costumes. It's just like a wash, rinse, repeat of like the corporate side of it. But like if you really want to focus on like what Halloween really means, then you would have to bring up the topic of like Christianity and like whether we should be doing it. But it's like people need to realize that you shouldn't even be having those kind of arguments and conversations that prevent kids from participating in these wonderful little activities because
Exactly.
they're just doing the whole like commercial side of the fun
Yeah.
party side of it.
Like if that was the case, then like Christians wouldn't care about presents during Christmas.
Yes.
Yes.
Or what the heck's on the outside of a coffee cup? Like, oh my god.
Oh, and if they want to know the true meaning of Halloween, they should just watch Charlie Brown's special. I forgot what you call it.
No, they should watch the pumpkin one.
The Great
Yeah,
Pumpkin.
The Great Pumpkin.
yes, that one. I've only recently started watching horror movies.
Oh.
And I've only gotten into it 2 years ago. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to follow Nick and Lauren on the socials that will be in the link down below. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you to Lauren and Nick for joining me, and to you guys for watching this interview. Expect to see a lot more in the future. Rob Z out.